Hello everyone. We are going to start with the introductory lecture of activity-based costing. In this lecture, we are going to deal with how activity-based costing can be applied and what is the benefit of applying activity-based costing and how different it is from the traditional absorption costing. See, in absorption costing, whenever you develop any new concept, there's always something wrong with the older concept. That's why we develop the new concept, right? So let's start first the discussion of what actually went wrong with the absorption costing. What's wrong with absorption costing, and why we need to develop activity-based costing. See, if we are working in a traditional absorption costing environment, there are two possibilities. The first possibility is the company may be working in a very simple concept where the budgeted overheads where the budgeted overheads of company is around 1 million, and company wants to distribute these 1 million overheads into the product on the basis of some overhead absorption rate. This is something which we already have studied in F2, right? So what we do is we try to identify an activity level, right? Activity level is usually machine hours, labor hours, or number of units. Let's suppose the activity level is machine hours. So what we do is we usually divide these overheads with the machine hours. Let's say machine hours are 200,000. So if you divide both figures, you will get the overhead absorption rate. Now, what is overhead absorption rate? Overhead absorption rate is a rate which company uses to include overheads into the cost of the product. It's very similar to it's same as you. I mean, for example, if I say that 5 kilograms of material will be used in the manufacturing of a particular product, tell me what is the cost. So if I'm telling you the consumption, you cannot tell me the cost unless and until you know the price, right? So what you will do, you will multiply price with the quantity of raw material. Same case with the labor. If you know that labor require 3 hours for the manufacturing of the product, and I ask you that what is the labor cost, you cannot tell me unless and until that I tell you the wage rate, right? So if wage rate is $10 per hour, and worker use around 3 hours per unit, so then we can calculate that okay, fine, labor cost is around 30. So similarly, overhead absorption rate is the rate of overheads, but unfortunately no one else can tell us what is the overhead absorption rate. We have to calculate that. So we calculate overhead absorption rate by using a formula, that is budgeted overheads divided by the budgeted activity level. So this is something which we have already covered in past. So in this case, what will be the overhead absorption rate? Overhead absorption rate will be around 5 pounds per machine hour, right? So this is basically overhead absorption rate for the company, right? So if a product, let's suppose we are talking about product X, and product X, prime cost of product X is around $100, and this product require 3 machine hours. So how will we include overheads? We will include overheads by using 3 hours multiplied by $5 per hour per machine hour. That will be around $15. So overall cost per unit will be around $115. This is cost per unit, right? And then we have to add profit into this cost per unit. Suppose profit is around 10%, $11 profit. So this will be your selling price, right? So this is something which we have already studied in past. This will be around 126. So this is something which we have already discussed in F2, that how to calculate cost per unit and selling price by using the traditional method. Now, what is wrong with this issue with this method? See, the developers of activity-based costing has criticized this method. They said that there is nothing wrong with this concept of absorption costing. Absorption costing itself is perfectly fine, but the only problem is that we are distributing 1 million overheads, total overheads, by using just one activity level. So what we are believing that this pure, this whole 1 million can be is related to 200,000 machine hours, which means that if you increase machine hours, you will overheads will increase. If you decrease machine hours, overheads will decrease, right? And somehow overheads are directly connected with the machine hours, which may be which probably may not be the case. For example, there are certain overheads which has nothing to do with the machine hours, right? For example, there are multiple overheads which are not directly related with these machine hours. So what activity based concept says that, look, we are going to follow the same method, but what we will do is, instead of distributing this complete 1 million on the basis of just one single cost driver, what we are going to do, we are going to make some groups of these 1 million overheads, and we will distribute each and individual group of overheads among the product by using a separate activity level so that overheads can be distributed accordingly. Let me give you a very basic example. For example, there is a quality control cost, right? Now, if there is a quality control cost, then included in this $1 million overhead, then quality related cost has nothing to do with the machine hours. For example, you have machine setup cost. It has nothing to do with the machine hours. For example, you have supplier. You have a cost which is related to purchase of raw material. It has nothing to do with the machine hours. So there are so many costs who are directly not associated with the machine hours. So the ABC concept says that you need to identify those areas, those groups, and pool overheads of some common characteristics in different categories, and then distribute it. Let me try to explain how we are going to do that. For example, let's take the same example. For example, we have budgeted overheads of around 1 million for the company, right? And we are saying, we are expect after studying these overheads, 1 million overheads, we came to know that 40% overheads are actually related to machine are actually machine related costs, right? 20% costs are actually batch related costs, right? Then, for example, 20% or not 20%, 15% cost is related to labor, is a labor related cost. And what's left? 60, 70, 75, and 25% cost is suppose, or 20%, 15% cost is quality control related cost, and we are left with 30, 20, 50, and 40, 90. 10% cost are general cost. General cost means those costs which cannot be allocated to any of these pools can be classified as general costs. These are those costs which are related to the whole factory. For example, factory rent, factory maintenance. So anything which is related to whole factory, that can be classified as general overheads, right? So we made this classification. Now what we need to do is, let's calculate its dollar, its figures first, and then we will move ahead. Machine related cost will be around 400,000 in this case, 40% of 1 million. Batch related cost will be around 200,000 in this case. Labor cost will be around 150,000 in this case, and quality control cost will be 150,000 in this case, and general overheads will be 100,000 in this case, right? So this is the general distribution of overheads among all different groups, right? Now we need to identify cost driver. Now what is cost driver? Any factor which is responsible, or which can be considered to be the driving factor of these cost pools, can be considered as cost drivers. In normal language, this is the activity level, right? Activity level is basically a word which we use in absorption costing. In ABC we use activity, we use cost driver. So okay, fine. In the starting, let's call it activity level, right? So we need to identify the activity level for all different cost pools. So machine related costs can be distributed on the basis of, let's say, machine hours, right? Batch related costs can be distributed on the basis of number of batches. Labor related costs can be distributed on the basis of labor hours. Quality control costs can be distributed on the basis of either number of inspection. You may consider number of inspection. You may consider number of units that got inspected. So let's consider number of inspection. Let's consider inspection, right? And general overheads can be distributed on the basis of, let's say, machine hours, right? So now what we need to do, now we need to distribute, now we need to identify that how many, because see, we ultimately we have to calculate overhead absorption rate for this, right? We have to calculate five different cost, five different overhead absorption rates, and each overhead absorption rate will be related to a separate cost pool, right? So now what we need to do, we need to identify cost drivers or activity levels for each and every cost pool. Now let's take a simple example. Let's say machine hours are around, machine hours are expected to be, that were 200,000. So let's say machine hours were expected to be 200,000. Let's say number of batches were expected to be, let's say, 500. 500 batches. Labor hours are expected to be, let's say, 20,000. Number of inspection are expected to be 2,000, and machine hours are expected to be again 200,000. Why I kept general overhead machine cost separate, because both are distributing on the basis of machine hours. I kept it separate just to just to tell the management that, look, you cannot you cannot avoid these overheads because these are the general overheads, right? So since there is no other option available, so we are distributing these overheads on the basis of machine hours. But machine related cost is typically related to machine hours, right? So if you change these machine hours, your machine cost may change in this situation, right? So this is something which is directly connected with machine cost. This is not connected with machine cost, right? Now we need to calculate overhead rates, right? For each and individual cost pool, we need to calculate overhead rates, right? In absorption costing, we call it overhead absorption rate. In ABC, we call it overhead recovery rate, right? So what will be the overhead rate in this case? Machine related cost will be around 400,000 divided by 200,000. Let's make it 100,000. Okay, fine, 200,000 is fine. So this will be around $2 per machine hour, right? Similarly, batch related cost is around 200,000, and this can be distributed on the basis of 500 batches. So 200,000 divided by 500, it's equals to 400 per batch, right? And labor related cost is 1,50,000, and it can be distributed on the basis of 20,000 labor hours. So it's 7.5, I guess. 150 divided by 20 is 7.5. Right? Quality control cost will be what? Quality control cost will be 1,50,000 divided by 2,000. So 150 divided by 2,000 is $75. Right? And the last one is 100,000 general overheads. distributed on the basis of 200,000 hours. So this will be just 0.5 per machine hour, right? So what we did is we instead, so what is the difference? See, what is the difference? Difference is that in absorption costing we just calculate one overhead recovery rate. We just calculate one overhead recovery rate and we distribute all overheads on the basis of single OAR. In activity based costing, the same 1 million overhead is distributed among multiple groups by, I mean, we distribute it to among multiple groups and we absorb overheads of each individual group separately. That's basically the idea. So now overheads are distributed more accurately to the product because those overheads which get affected by labor hours are distributed on the basis of labor hours. Those overheads which get affected by number of batches are distributed on the basis of number of batches. Those overheads which are related to inspection are distributed on the basis of number of inspection. So what actually went wrong here? We considered that 100% overheads are related with machine hours. But practically, what is the situation? Only 40% overheads are actually related with machine hours. 60% overheads are not directly related with machine hours, right? So that's basically something went wrong. I mean, if you reduce your machine hours by 20%, your 100% overheads will not change. Just 40% overheads will change. That's basically the difference, right? Now what we need to do, we need to absorb means what? Absorb means to include overheads into the cost of the product, right? So what we need to do now is we need to include overheads into the cost of the product. Obviously we have calculated these rates, so we have to use these rates. So how can we use these rates? We use these overhead recovery rates by on in calculating cost per unit of the product. So let's suppose we want to calculate cost per unit of product X, right? In a similar way as we did in the previous part, right? We calculate cost per unit of product X. Now we are also again calculating cost per unit of product X, but there is a difference. Now we need prime cost, which is same in both cases. Difference is not on the basis of prime cost. This difference between absorption and ABC is on the distribution of overhead, right? So what we need to do now is we need to gather information about product X regarding four factors. We need to calculate how many machine hours are required for the product. We need to calculate how many batches are required for the product. We need to calculate how many labor hours are required for the product, number of inspection in machine hours, right? So let's take a hypothetical example. Let's say that product company wants to manufacture production company wants to manufacture 10,000 units of product X, right? And total machine hours which will be required are around, let's say, 1.5 machine hours per unit, right? Second information we need is of number of batches. So let's say we batch size is let's say it's around 1,000 units per batch, right? And labor hours are expected to be, let's take total labor hours. Total labor hours will be around 2,000 labor hours. And number of inspections will be, it will be around 3 inspections per batch, right? And general overhead need machine hours, so we know the machine hours, right? And let's suppose prime cost of the product. How much prime cost we considered in the example? We considered $100, right? So let's consider prime cost of the product is $100. There is nothing wrong with the prime cost. Prime cost is not the major area of concern for us, right? So let's start the calculation of cost per unit of the product by using activity based costing, right? So see, first of all, we need to distribute machine related cost. Machine related cost will be 1.5 machine hours, 1.5 machine hours per unit, and there are 10,000 units, right? 1.5 hour machine hours per unit, and there are 10,000 units of the product. So how many machine hours you will total need? You will total need 15,000 machine hours. So that's 1.5 multiplied by 10,000. This will give you total number of machine hours. Now 15,000 machine hours will be required for the manufacturing of the product. And what is the overhead rate? Overhead rate for machine hours is $2 per unit, right? So we will multiply it with $2. So 15,000 multiplied by 2 is around 30,000, right? Now we are done with this cost, right? We are done with this cost. Now second one is batch related cost. Batch related cost is dependent upon number of batches, and it's around $400 per batch, right? So if you are manufacturing one batch, there will be around $400 cost that can be associated with that batch. Now how many batches we are manufacturing? See, batch size is 1000 units per batch. 1000 units per batch means what? 1000 units per batch means that in one batch company is manufacturing 1000 units. And how many units we need to manufacture? We need to manufacture 10,000 units. That means what? That means 10,000 units divided by 1000 units per batch. This will give you around 10 batches, right? And 10 batches multiplied by what is the batch cost? Batch cost is around 400, so we will multiply it with 400. So we will get around 4,000, I guess, right? The next is labor related cost, right? This one, labor related cost. Now labor related cost is 7.5 per labor hour, right? So we need to multiply 7.5 with the labor hours. Labor hours are already given. Labor hours are 2000. So what we will do, we'll multiply 2000 with 7.5, right? It's going to be around 15,000, right? Then what? We are done with labor cost, we are done with batch cost, we are done with machine cost. Now the third pool is quality control cost. Right? Quality cost is what? Quality cost is $75 per inspection, right? So it's around $75 per inspection. Now we have to multiply it with the number of inspections. Inspections, it says that company will require around 3 inspections per batch, right? 3 inspections per batch means how many batches we are going to manufacture? 10 batches. So 10 batches multiplied by 3, that will be around 30 number of inspections. 30 inspections multiplied by 75. It's around 2250. Right? What's next? The last option is machine cost. Machine cost is 0.5, sorry, is 0.5 per machine hour. And how many machine hours? 15,000, right? These 15,000 machine hours. So 15,000 multiplied by 0.5, that will be equals to 7,500. So 30,000 plus 4,000 plus 15,000 plus 2250 plus 7,500 That's equals to 58750. These are what? These are overheads, which we call absorb overheads, right? If you want to calculate overhead per unit, you have to divide it with the number of units, right? Number of units are what? Number of units are 10,000. So 58750 divided by 10,000 will give you what? 50. Just a second. 5.875, right? And what was the prime cost? Prime cost was around $100. Just a second. Let me make it more comparable. Let me try to make it more comparable. Labor hours were around. We considered 3 machine hours here, right? So let's multiply this with 3. I'm just trying to make it more comparable. It is not. I mean, there's no wrong, nothing wrong here, but I'm just trying to compare it because at the end we will compare it with absorption costing. So 30,000 multiplied by 2 is 60,000. So 58750 plus 30,000 is oops, 88,750. 88,750 will be 8.875 plus 100 is 108.75. So this will be what? This will be the cost per unit under activity based costing system, right? Now, there is a difference, right? There is a difference between the cost per unit which we have calculated by using absorption costing and activity based costing. Let me try to highlight it. Cost per unit under absorption costing was 115.5. Cost per unit under ABC is around 108.75. So the question arises is which is a better option? Whether we should stick to absorption costing or whether we should whether we should move to activity based costing. See, activity based costing is obviously more reliable option, right? Why? Because in activity based costing, we distribute all overheads by using multiple activity level, right? It's a more realistic way of for the distribution of the overhead, right? So instead of distributing all overheads on the basis of just one single cost driver, we have made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have made 5 groups and we distributed all overheads on the basis of activity level which is suitable to that particular group, right? So since activity based costing sorry, since activity based costing actually distribute overheads by using multiple cost drivers rather than a single cost driver, that's why activity based costing is more accurate as compared with traditional absorption costing, right? This is the first comment. So if someone says that what which is more preferable, so we will say that look, activity based costing is a better version, is a accurate answer as compared with the traditional one, right? Number one. Number two is that there is a genuine question which usually people ask, that what will be the benefit if company switches from absorption costing to activity based costing? See, the first benefit is already we have discussed, that the first benefit is what? First benefit is that in ABC distribution of cost is done in more appropriate manner, right? Right. So appropriate, or you can write word accurate. Accurate distribution of overheads. Accurate distribution of overheads. Why? Because in activity based costing we use multiple activity levels. Activity levels, or you sorry, we use multiple cost drivers. Cost drivers are the activity levels, right? We use multiple cost driver or multiple activity levels which is in contrast to traditional absorption costing, where we just use a single activity label for the distribution of the overhead. So this is the first reason. What is there any other benefit which we can get? Yes, there is another benefit. One more benefit is, the another benefit is that if you distribute overheads by using activity based costing, you will get a detailed idea about the overheads which are related to the product. For instance, we know that overall cost is 8.875 per unit, right? And this is basically the breakup of total overheads. So if you want to reduce the cost of the product, if you are going for cost cutting exercise, or if you want to reduce the cost of the product, we will discuss this in target costing later in this course. So what we can do is that we can traditionally, we have thought that by reducing machine hours we can reduce overall overheads, right? Which is not correct, which is incorrect. So if you want to want to control your cost, if you want to reduce your cost, then you can use activity based costing as a method, as a tool for doing so, right? Because we get so much information in ABC. Let me give you a very simple example. See, batch size is what? Batch size in this case is 1000 units per batch, right? For example, if we have capacity and if we can, so company decided to manufacture 1200 units per batch. 1200 units per batch instead of 1000 units per batch. What will happen? See, 10,000 units divided by 1200, that means around 8.3, means approximately 9 number of batches, right? So 9 number of batches means what? One batch related cost will reduce because of this. Quality control cost will reduce because of this, because quality control cost is also dependent upon number of batches. So if you reduce number of batches, your quality batch related cost will reduce, your quality control cost will reduce, but there will be no impact on any other cost. But if you reduce machine hours, then machine reduction in machine hours will will reduce cost of this particular cost pool, right? So what is another benefit? Let me write this. Another benefit is that company gets detailed information about overheads of the product, right? Now, how company can use this detailed information in decision making. Decision making in the sense, for example, company want to control cost. By the way, there is a difference between cost control and cost reduction, right? Cost control means what? You are trying to reduce the. Let me give you a simple example. Cost control means what? If you want to control your electricity bill and you are continuously switching off a fan or AC, or you are trying to put a timetable that AC will not we will not run AC for 5 hours per day or 10 hours per day. We will operate AC for maximum 3 hours per day. So this is cost controlling, right? Cost reduction is what? Cost reduction means, instead of having normal AC, we move to inverter AC, or we move from to LED light. So that thing itself will consume less electricity. You don't need to put a timetable in that case. So that is cost reduction. So in this case, we can go for cost control, because cost control means we can reduce the cost of the product, right? So decision making, cost control is majorly involved here, right? And pricing decision you can also use, or you can write pricing decision as a separate point. Selling price calculated sorry selling price calculated under activity based costing, if company is using cost plus markup basis. Cost plus markup. If selling price calculated under activity based costing is more accurate, as cost per unit is accurate. right? So these are the benefits, these are the advantages which we can derive from activity based costing. And ultimately, you can write one more point, that the products consuming more drivers will be allocated more cost, right? So these are basically the advantage. But before moving ahead, you can I mean, what heading you can put, you can write why a company should use ABC. What are the advantages of activity, sorry, what are the advantages of using activity based costing, why company should switch to ABC, why a company should switch to activity based costing. So this can, you can fit all these points in any of these headings, right? Now there is one more question, but before proceeding, let me try to let me try to identify one thing here. See, what we did till now is, we first make we first made the groups, right? We first split total overheads into multiple groups, right? These groups are called, these groups are called cost pools. If the question says that the company is having three cost pools, that means examiner is telling you that the company is having three multiple groups of the overheads, right? And these machine hours, this is something which is written in purple. This is basically called cost driver. Cost driver is what? Cost driver is something which is going to accelerate your cost, which is going to drive your cost. So it will include overheads by using the cost drivers, right? The third thing which is here, which is different from traditional absorption costing, is the word overhead. In absorption we called it overhead absorption rate. In activity based costing we call overhead recovery rate, right? So now, what's next? These things we will, since we will continuously use these three terms, so that's why I try to highlight it. Now, there are two more questions. Next question that comes into our mind, that okay, fine. Suppose company is charging 10% selling price, and this product is having will have a cost of 108. So if you charge 108 times 10%, that makes 10.8, right? And 10.8 plus 108.75, that makes around, sorry, 108.75 times 1.1, that makes around 119.63. This will be what? This will be the selling price if company use activity based costing. Now there is another question. Shall we switch from 126 to, I mean, shall we switch from 126 selling price, which we calculated under absorption costing, to 119.6, which we have calculated under activity based costing? Shall we reduce the selling price? And there is one another situation, but let's try to discuss here. See, it depends. If you I mean, it all depends upon the price elasticity of demand. I mean, this is something which we have already studied in economics somewhere. That price elasticity of demand says that if there are two types of product, basically, in by and large there are two types of product. There is a product which is more reactive from by the price change. There is another product which is less reactive by a price change. Let me give you an example. If you reduce your selling price by 10%, right? Suppose if a company reduces its selling price, I'm just telling you what is the price elasticity of demand. So if someone doesn't have any idea what that price elasticity mean, he can have a quick recap, he can understand what is that. So if we reduce selling price if we reduce selling price by 10%, there are certain products that we're selling. Let's say if we increase selling price by 10%, we know that sales volume is going to drop because of this, right? So if we increase selling price by 10% and if sales volume because of that decreases by 22%, that means your sales volume is more reactive towards the pricing. So you just increase your selling price by 10% and your sales volume dropped by 22%. It's called price elastic. This product is price elastic. Price elastic means what? Price elastic means this is more responsive towards pricing. If you don't want to use this word, you may write it in your wording that we need to check whether whether the product is more responsive towards the price change or not, right? If we so in this case we normally advise the company, don't change selling price. Don't change selling price, because if you increase selling price, your sales volume will reduce by 22% and ultimately your sales revenue will reduce. There will be a decrease in sales revenue, right? There is another case that if selling price increases by 10% and your sales volume just decreases by 2%, then this means that your sales volume is less responsive towards the price change. We will call this product as price inelastic, right? In this case, it's advisable for the company to increase the selling price, because if you increase the selling price, your sales volume will reduce by a very little amount. If you increase selling price by 10%, your sales volume reduces by 20%. So overall, there will be an increase in sales revenue. So if you want to reduce the selling price, you need to check that what will be its benefits towards sales volume. I mean, there is no straightforward answer of this. You need to check what will be the change in sales volume. If sales volume will, if this is price, if this product is price elastic, then decrease in selling price will increase sales volume by a larger percentage. In that case, company should company should reduce the selling price, because overall sales revenue will increase by a greater amount. But if this product is price inelastic, inelastic means it's less responsive towards the price. Let's take an example of salt. If you decrease selling price of salt by 20%, do you really think people will start consuming more salt? No. So that is price inelastic. So decrease in this case, decrease in selling price will increase sales volume by a very little amount. In that case, your sales revenue will ultimately decrease, because you decrease selling price by 10%. The sales volume your sales volume increase by just 1%. That means overall your revenue will decrease. So it all depends upon whether the company whether the product is price elastic or not. Similarly, there can be another case. Let me discuss one more case here. There can be another case that, suppose current selling price of the product, or current cost of the product is 112 by using 110 by using absorption costing. And if we switch to activity based costing, then cost of the product will increase to, let's say, $122. So there will be an increase in cost per unit. So ultimately selling price is going to oops, I forgot one point here. I will tell you later. I just recalled. If you increase selling price by $22, if you want to increase your selling price, that you have to check whether this increase is acceptable by the customers or not. Because if the market is competitive, if this market is competitive, what you will tell to the customer that we change the selling price, we change the costing method, that's why we change the selling price, because you are not providing them with the with the extra quality or something extra in this product. You are providing them exactly the same product at higher prices, right? This means we have identified that a product which was actually we thought that its cost is $110, actually practically its cost is not $10, it's $122. That means what? That means we were thinking that this product is a profitable product, but right now it seems that this product is less profitable, because we didn't have any idea about the cost of the product. Now since we got a realistic idea about the cost of the product, so now we came to know that this product was not as beneficial for the company as we were thinking while we were doing absorption costing, right? This point I forgot to write here. So it will help the company to identify profitable products, because cost is more accurate, so the profit margin will be more realistic in this case, right? So if we so in this case what we do is the action which we take is that we if we can increase, if customer can bear the change, the increase, then we can increase. Otherwise the better option is that we should try to reduce our cost of the product, because now we know that this product is more costly as we were thinking about it. So we should try to control its cost, we should try to bring its cost down. And how we can do this? We can reduce the cost of the product by using the information which we got by using the information which we got by using the activity based costing. I mean, if you I just gave you the example that we can have 1200 units per batch. Instead of 1200, if we can have 2000 units per batch, if that is possible, if it's possible to do so, then what will happen? Our cost will dramatically decrease, right? I mean, there are other ways of reducing cost as well. I mean, we can change the material, we can change the labor, but we are just talking with respect to the overheads, right? So these are the benefits, and this is something which is basically there are sometimes examiner asks that there are three products. One's cost is going to increase in ABC, one cost is going to decrease in ABC, and one cost is going to remain same. So if cost is going to remain same, it's not a problem. If cost is increasing, that's a problem. If cost is decreasing, then we need to check whether we should pass that benefit to the customer or not, right? Now, the last thing which is important in activity-based costing theory, I mean, try to listen this theory before using ABC. Then we will do some questions and we'll try to apply these concepts of activity-based costing in our questions, right? Now, the last thing which is important is that there is a question, right? And that question is. Uh, I mean, look, we know that now that activity-based costing is a better option in as compared with absorption costing. So, shall all companies start applying activity-based costing? I mean, is absorption costing completely irrelevant? Uh, Probably no. Definitely no. See, activity-based, there are some prerequisites. Say there are some conditions which is required for the application of activity-based costing, right? The first thing, which is the first condition which is required whether company should use activity-based costing or not. The first condition is that uh, proportion of overheads, proportion of total overheads, or you may write proportion of overheads in total cost. What do you mean by this? See, for example, a product has a direct cost of 500,000 and it has an overhead of around 50,000. Total overheads are approximately 50,000. Then total overheads are not a heavy proportion of the total direct cost, right? So in this case, if company uses absorption costing, company may use absorption costing, company may avoid use of activity based costing, because overhead itself is not a major proportion of the total overhead of the total cost, right? The second condition is that if company is manufacturing if company is manufacturing multiple products, if company is manufacturing multiple products, then company should use ABC. The more variety of products, the more chances are that activity based costing, a company should use activity based costing, because that's going to be beneficial for the company. Because see, if company is using just two products, right, then distribution will be made between two products, right? So ABC will not give you, I mean, it's not the case that activity based costing will not benefit you, will not give you any benefit. But since just there are just two products, so there will be no not a huge issue of distribution, right? But in case of, if a company is having 10 different type of products, if company is manufacturing 10 different types of product, right, in that case it's more important to distribute overheads among all products properly, appropriately, because uh, usually different products have different type of different nature, right? So if company is having more than if company is having multiple products, 4 products, 5 products, 6 products, then it's advisable for the company to use activity based costing. Now the third thing, if production process is different for all products, or you can say if nature of product is different, if nature of product is different. For example, see, it's very simple, both are same, this is the same thing. Now what do you mean by this? See, for example, there is a product which is very high quality product, right? And that product required multiple quality inspections, quality control inspections, right? For example, there are, let's take an example. There are two products, product A and product B, right? Product, you have to manufacture 10,000 units of product A, you have to manufacture 10,000 units of product B, right? So if and for, let's say for instance, product A require 3 machine hours and product B require 4 machine hours, or let's say 5 machine hours. So in traditional situation, in traditional absorption costing, more overheads will be allocated to product B, right? Now then you came to know that product A is a high quality product and product B is a low quality product. Low quality in the sense, quality control inspections will be required. Inspection for the first product will be, let's say, 4 inspections per batch, and low quality product require 1 inspection per batch, right? So this means what? This means that more quality related quality control costs should be allocated to product A as compared with B, right? So if you move from activity based costing to traditional, so it's a better idea to use activity based costing, because it will create a difference, right? And for example, there is another product, and let's take another example. For example, product B is a perishable product, so we can maximum manufacture 1,000 units per batch. And product A is a long lasting product, so we can manufacture up to 3,000 units per batch, right? So this means what? This means that product, there will be more batches related to product B and there will be less batches related to product A. So batch related cost will be allocated to product A in less proportion as compared with product B. So both products are different. One product is quality product, second product is low quality product, one product is perishable, second product is not perishable. One product required 10 components for the manufacturing, second product required just 2 components for the manufacturing. So there are different type of different the nature is different, right? The cost allocation will be different in all cases. So if product nature is different, if different product require, sorry, if different product require different type of processing or different nature, the products are very different in nature, then definitely company should use activity based costing. Now the fourth one is again important. Fourth one is connected. You may connect it with the first one. Uh, After first point, you may connect it here. Major overheads. Major overheads should not be related to a single cost pool. Sorry. Should not be sorry. Should not be related to a single cost pool. Now, what do you mean by this? See, suppose there are 100%. Suppose let's consider the same example. Now, in this example, we know that 40% cost are, let me try to change the color. 40% cost is related to machine and 60% cost is related to some other area, right? But if I change this proportion, if I say that 80% cost is machine related cost and 20% cost is the other cost. So what will happen when you switch to activity based costing, you will still distribute 80% overheads based on machine hours. So by moving towards by switching to ABC, you are just changing distribution base for 20% overheads. 80% overheads are still distributed in a very similar manner, right? So in this case, we say that company will not have benefits of using ABC. ABC will not give company that benefit which actually is required, which actually company is expecting from activity based costing. So these are four conditions which are required, or four conditions which company must consider if company wants to switch to activity based costing or not, right? So these are some conditions, right? So that's the end of this video. We will do some questions in the next video, right? Till then, have a nice day. Allah Hafiz.